vacuum is for precision. So not so much accuracy, but precision. That's all.
But what are you going to be like if it doesn't move?
Well, why don't you go check out Blue Marbles? He's made one and he's streaming as to the results. So you can see it yourself with your own eyeballs live.
All right,
G'day.
you tell me which one of these pictures I post is Blue Marbles, and y'all want to start talking about Cavendish, we're going to start talking about these pictures I'm posting, or stop fucking around.
I was thinking about you, Mippy. I was thinking, where is she? You're here. Fantastic. So we've got a bit of science from BIODUEL. He's going to do Cavendish in a vacuum, which has never been seen before. Never been seen. It's been done, supposedly, but never been seen.
You haven't seen it. There's been people who have seen it. That's not up for debate. What's debate is you seeing it. That's all.
Yeah, people have seen all kinds of things, but, you know, they don't document them, right?
No, but when they're repeatable using different equipment, the same methodology, and they come to the same conclusions, it's corroborated.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see this observed phenomena in nature. Just get it done. Bio, what's taking so long? This was last. I know it's difficult.
I'm sorry, you're not funding me, so you don't get to dictate the timeline.
Bio, you're saying you've read through all the papers?
No, not all of them, but a few. Yeah.
So just a few. So you can't say all of them.
Well, they're all corroborating because you can read the abstract. What I'm saying is I've read 3 of them.
All the abstracts.
From top to bottom, I've read 3 of them. Maybe 4. I can't remember.
You read 4 abstracts.
At least 10 abstracts. Yes.
10 abstracts.
Right, and then 3 or 4 all the way through. Yeah.
Oh, there's what, that of abstracts out there, right?
I haven't come across one that contradicts another. How about that? I got to about 10, a little bit more than 10, and at that point, I was batting 100% for them corroborating each other, so I didn't proceed to read 100.
Okay, so but you can't say that.
No, I can, because as I said, I was batting 100 at about 10.
At only
so
10,
I can
but there's thousands of papers.
As soon as you find that one that contradicts another one, let me know. I'd be glad to read it.
And that's another thing. Getting to this information also isn't the easiest. You know, there's this lady that put up a, I forget what it's called, Psi something, but it has access to every research paper that's ever been done. Yeah. And she has to change her URL like every other day because they keep trying to shut it down because, again, knowledge isn't free.
Just have a student email, and then you'll have access.
Nothing is free. Why should
I just want to know how you're going to feel when there's no movement, Bio. And what? What's next for you?
So there will be movement, but I will entertain your question. If there's no movement, then everything that I understand about physics and how it interacts with each other is wrong.
Come to me. Come and talk to me at this point, yeah?
No, I don't think I would.
Well, you're going to be lost
because you haven't provided anything.
You said you're going to be all of it is going to be. It's not going to make sense to you, right? Basically.
Well, it'll all be wrong. Not that it doesn't make sense to me. It'll all be wrong.
Right. So how will you feel about that all being wrong?
Oh no, yeah, that would suck. But I wouldn't come to you because you haven't provided anything. What you've done is attempted to falsify those things, but there's nothing that you're trying to give anyone. So why would I go to you?
Confide in me. If there is no movement, okay, don't break down. Okay, stay strong, and just come and see me, and we'll talk about how and why no movement.
Well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't come to you because you offer nothing. All you do is try to negate things.
Well,
but you
after this,
so
you will have nothing. You will have no force. You will be nothing.
Quite possibly.
You won't be able to have the big chest out, I am, and look at me, we have a ball with gravity. None of that. Yeah?
Yeah, assuming that all of physics is wrong, then I am incapable of puffing my chest out. You're right, yeah.
That's right.
Don't your balls prove gravity?
What's that?
Don't your balls prove
Gravity.
Right, as I said, they will move, but I will entertain his question
They won't
because I'm
move.
not an obvious
I just
hater.
want to know how you're going to feel when they don't move.
How
Yeah,
do they
perfect.
go up again when they constrict then?
Yeah, so
Go
there is
check
no
out
G'day,
Blue
Merle.
Marble Science.
Hey,
Go
mate.
check out Blue Marble Science. It's all done step by step, and you can see
Do the balls
everything.
defy gravity when they constrict?
No, because they're not moving vertical. They're moving laterally. So Kimo, same question to you. So I set it up. What I will do is jump around my room, so it's not like a vibration movement thing. I will turn my fan on above the chamber, and there will be no movement in the chamber, so we know it's not air pressure. I could probably set up some type of Bunsen burner underneath and see what temperature does, and assuming it doesn't move from that, then I would carry on and introduce masses. Then we see the movement. What do you do next?
Ooh,
I'll
the
probably
mask gonna be
I'll
there,
probably
bro. We
pass
gonna talk
out
about space-time
because,
magnetism. Let's go.
I'll probably pass out everything I've understood. No force, no pressure. I'd be devastated. Yeah. I'll probably do.
So what would you do? Would you?
I'll probably do a cipher. You know.
Would you then? I think at that point it's fair to say that you would accept gravity as we've explained, mass to mass, blah blah blah.
I'm
But
done. I would be done. I mean, again, how could I
Yeah.
run my mouth and say, "Hey, where does the pressure come from?" Right? You just,
Yeah, all these
you're gonna
things,
do is just whip out your video every single time someone brings up, "Oh, gravity's not a force," and you just like, bang, there's the link. There's me doing
right,
it. Yeah?
but it's not about me for this question. But one step further,
Constriction.
how legitimate would the globe Earth be, and how illegitimate would the flat Earth be, given those premises?
Well, like I say, you've got the force, you've got the science, you've got your observed phenomenon, you've got everything you need to, tell us that we're on a ball, spinning, flying. Everything makes sense, right? Because you've got gravity. Everything. The
All right,
tides,
so there's a lot. There's a lot on the line. To be fair,
there's a lot on the line here. That's what we're talking about. I know it's not going to move bio. But
what else?
Is going to do?
What,
What to do?
what else should I do? What else should I do? So I gave the example of jumping around, turning the fan on, a possible Bunsen burner for temperature. What else would you want to rule out another effect? What else would you want?
I can only predict, from what I've seen, is the atmosphere is the cause. The draft, wind.
Right. I just want to knock out everything all at once, though. So it would be live stream. It would be multiple angles, multiple cameras.
Yep.
And I would just want to rule out everything to be like, I jumped, Bunsen burner, my fan is on, and then whatever else. And then it's like, okay, stand still. Nothing has affected it. And then I introduce masses, and then there's no excuse. That's what I'm getting at. What else can I do?
No, wait, how many times, dude? No excuse. If you show the phenomenon in nature of mass attracting mass, well then, with no variables, so you manipulate the variables that we predicted, then that's it.
We show mass attracting mass all the time.
What else
man.
can I say, boy? I'm not going to make up something like, oh, well, fairies did it. Because that you
No, it's not.
Kimo.
It's not an argument. I'm being intellectually honest.
Because you would have to say to me, let's say I said fairies. So you would say to me, okay, manipulate the fairies, and I'm like, well,
like mail me fairies, because I can't.
No, we're not like you. We don't just make stuff up.
What about Ferris? Kimo, aren't you going to argue magnetism?
Yeah, that'd be a good one. How about magnetism? Would you want a
Well, you've already checked for that, haven't you? That's normal. Electricity, magnetism. That's the first things you rule out. That's normal.
Well, I would ground it, obviously, but
Obviously,
Bio.
ground magnetisms.
Bio. Something these people don't understand is aluminium.
Right. I mean, to a certain extent, I'm trying to rule out every possible goalpost from the beginning. So that's what I'm doing, Kimo. Is I'm not trying to argue right now. I'm asking honestly what you think it could be. That way, I can accommodate properly to rule that out. I'm just being honest about it. Not argument.
Well,
Lead.
You've got mass attracting mass, right? There's a concept or a theoretical idea.
Right.
And then the next step is how.
Right. No, and that's fine. What this is just cause and effect. So the how part of it, the measurements, that stuff doesn't matter. It would just be cause and effect. So like the how could be a future.
Gets it. You see, good.
Right. I'm honest about these conversations, unless we're talking about shallow Earth, and it gets crazy. But
Bio understands this now, and this is what we try to do, is that if you want to conduct science in the correct way and make sure that the cause is the cause, you're going to have to manipulate the predicted cause, the independent variable, and manipulate and wiggle it, which he's going to do.
Yeah.
And
You've got to eliminate all others, don't you,
What
Kimo?
can I say? I'm trying to think now. What's possible? Can anyone say? I'll be interested to see what other people say. And I would even argue this. If you've ruled out everything, and we have this observation, well, there you go.
But from an intellectually honest point of view, I think the Cavendish already rules out all other variables. But that's a separate conversation that we've already had that we beat to death. So.
Well, I'd say, for myself personally, I'd want to know how it does it.
Well, Merle,
right,
hold on. So, Merle, in this
to other
case,
people.
in this moment, if you observe these two objects moving, you would have to predict the cause. And not only predict the cause, you would have to manipulate your independent variable. Otherwise, you'd just be guessing.
Right, but
Exactly.
what Merle is saying is how this phenomena is happening. So what we would establish is the cause and effect, assuming it works, the cause and effect is mass attracting mass. Then there's a separate question of how. But before we get to how, we establish the cause and effect. So at that point, we
Just
establish
why.
mass attracts mass, and then we can have philosophical questions of how, unless we can.
But you need
No,
to, you need to know the
It's
why.
not philosophical. If
Yeah,
it's
it is.
real, then there needs to be. So
the
say if
thought-
I put it, well,
come
it's,
on,
it's
Mel.
like,
You're a smart guy. You tell us how.
Hang on.
well,
you say
I'm
philosophy
saying
isn't
if
real.
I can put yogurt in the fridge and make a prediction that the fridge will lower the temperature of the yogurt and then make it cold, there's how.
Now
like
tell
you
us
plug-
why, Mel.
No, well, you need the how. What are the mechanisms that the invisible
Actually,
force?
you,
How does the
you're
invisible
going backwards
force do
here.
it?
You need to know why it moved or why
No,
it
you need
removed
to know
it.
how
Now, hang
as
on,
well.
hang on. I wasn't finished, Mel. Just hang on
I
a
don't
sec.
really care.
Well,
Cut
see, that's the
into
thing.
Merle, and then you say you're not finished.
That's the thing. Okay, so
But someone
you need
else
to
said
know
how,
why.
I mean,
no,
come
you need
on,
to know
dude.
why first. Why is the heat
Literally
coming out of
jumping
the yogurt
into
when you put it in
what
the
he's
fridge?
trying to say, and you're saying,
Hmm.
"Don't cut in." I'm not finished.
Mm. You want to know why is it getting cold? Why is it attracting it? Then you go,
You realize that,
how
right?
did that happen?
Let Merle finish.
What? I started first, dickhead.
No, you cut him off.
No,
it's
I
all
didn't.
good. It's all good. Merle, would you agree that the why would come before the how in this particular context?
The order isn't necessarily important. The how is fascinating because we're talking about an invisible force without any mechanical properties. So, like, that's where the pressure and the lever operating systems came into play, especially when it came to the flat Earth discussion. Dell raised it, Kimo extended it.
What are you
I would
talking
agree
about?
that how is interesting. I get that, and I would agree. But we can't dive into how something happens if we don't even know that it does happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Which is the why.
Right.
That's
So
the
we
question.
establish the why first, and then we can discuss it. So we can even play with it right now. Let's assume that it does happen the way that we've explained mass and mass. So let's assume that, and then we go into the how. I don't even know where I would begin, to be honest, with the how it happens. I don't know. The best I have is words explanation, but I can't go past that.
I mean, it's fair. I mean, because what the concept, the theoretical concept is that the larger mass, the sun, has a very strong gravitational field. So it's the strongest force. So this hasn't been proven that it
Well-
even has a magnetic field to begin with, or a gravitational field.
What
Right.
you're doing here is obfuscating the point.
No, but that is where it begins. Like, there's
we're
a
not
claim
using a sun.
that heliocentrism has
Yeah, but
made.
Mel, we're not using a sun for the experiment. It's just two masses and seeing whether or not they attract to each other.
No, that's the Cavendish experiment. The main claim and the reason why everybody is here.
This is what we've
is
been talking
because
about
the
for half an
sun-
hour, Mel.
I don't think you understand where this all comes from.
We understand perfectly, Merle. You're just changing the direction of the conversation.
But the Cavendish experiment is to prove gravity.
No.
Yes, it's to prove that
No.
that mass can attract
It measures
mass.
the mass of the Earth, didn't it, or the weight of the Earth, mass of the Earth, or something?
Well, yes. The
No,
original
it's two
experiment
lead
was-
balls attracting each other.
The intention was the mass of the Earth, but
Yeah.
you can use the same setup and experiment to show cause and effect.
Hmm.
But I think what we were trying to dive into, Merle, was the how part of it. I agree with you that that would be super interesting, and I think if you could properly explain the how, I think that's a Nobel Prize in physics. That's what I'm saying with I don't even know where to begin. Assuming that mass attracts mass, it's shown in the vacuum. We all confirm 100% with no issue that's what's happening. I don't at all know how to begin to answer the how question. I'm totally stumped on how.
And that's where you got to give Dell and people like Kimo some credit. They're closer to the Nobel Prize than anyone here.
But I would disagree. How, assuming the mass attracts mass part, what's the explanation for how, or what's the beginning part of how?
Well, Dell raised the question: how does the moon attract the water to itself? What mechanism is involved?
Right, gravity. But that's not the how gravity works. That's not how mass attracts mass. Like what we can say is that mass
the
bends
how
space-time,
the
and then
how is the interesting part. Where's the mechanism? Because
Right.
if you want to move something, you have to apply pressure to it, a push
you can apply
or
whatever
applied
force.
pressure.
Yeah, you can apply whatever force. But what I'm saying is,
And that,
like, how
hang on,
does
and
gravity work? Yeah.
I'm just saying that then Kimo dug into that. He was man enough. He was set a challenge, and then he started to look into temperature and pressure variance and how they're measured with barometers and things like that. And then he uncovered more interesting things.
Right. Most of it I
What
wouldn't
everyone else
disagree with.
already knew.
Right. Most of it I wouldn't disagree with. The part that where the disconnect is assigning density variances, variations or deviations to a force when density isn't a force. That's where the disconnect is. So how do you describe buoyancy and density on all these things, and how you have density columns? No one disagrees with that, but he's assigning a force to something that isn't a force. That's the disconnect specifically.
Mm-hmm. Well, where the flat earthers seem to have arrived is heliocentrism doesn't have the how.
Right, and that's fine. Sure.
Yeah.
We know why. We understand the mechanics, but as far as how it works, I think the best answer is just the bending of space-time. But then that begs the question of what is space-time? How does that work? How does it interact with mass? This, that, and the other. So yeah, the how question is a great question to ask. I wouldn't be able to give you any answer to that.
Because I won't blunt the point, but where Dell comes into it is he was an apprentice and then he became a mechanic. So he has a practical mechanical background and he's a practical man. So he was looking for practicality, practical demonstration of applied knowledge.
Mel, you go from
And
apprentice to master.
heliocentrism left him without any practical, useful information of how the mechanics of gravity actually work, the how.
Yeah, he believes you pour water onto a flat ball and it's going to turn into a ball of water. Fucking ridiculous.
This
No.
is just beyond
So you
it.
miss-
You don't even.
you miss
You
the
said an
basic-
apprentice turns into a
Some
mechanic.
people have common sense, and some
you
people
don't.
have practical know-how.
Unfortunately, you have neither.
Some people don't seem to engage or employ that for some
Well,
reason.
neither do you.
They're just attacking you now.
No, it's not attacking
They-
him. It's first
Just
he's
See,
attacking
wrong.
him, man.
Where
he's
Flat
wrong.
Earth leaves these people, like, it steamrolls them instantly.
No, it
Is
doesn't.
it's all about common sense and practical application. Not arrogance, not ego,
Mel, just-
not how many
can you
degrees you've
stop
got
for
on
a
your
second?
wall.
You're not the only one in here, mate. You just babble on.
I don't know
What
why
do you
you have
do?
to say that. I really don't see why.
Whammer.
Are you
Why
like the
don't you run,
moderator
why
of
don't you
the
run
conversation?
away again?
I mean, are you the one that like
Whammer, why don't you run away
directs
again?
the conversation?
Mhm.
Is that the deal?
Why don't you run away again?
Are you?
Go on.
Are you the one who directs the
Are
conversation?
you? Are you?
I'm not. Are
Well,
you?
you're trying to,
Are you?
but you're trying to,
Hello, are you?
but you're trying to.
Can
I
you
can do
ask,
this all day,
answer
buddy.
the fucking question? You're the
Why?
one telling him
Why?
not
I'm
to
going to
fucking
take the
say
flat
something.
Earth position and not answer your
Who
fucking
are you to
question,
tell
ask
him
you
not
many
to
questions.
fucking talk about something?
Because I am
Because
not
what?
controlled by you.
You're not the one
Manipulator.
directing the fucking conversation.
Yeah, and this is exactly
All
what
right,
you're
you don't
trying to
control
do
the
right now,
server.
Whammer. This is why most people turn
Other
you
people
down.
want to hear him, dude.
No.
Yeah,
he
you
made
said
a
there's other
mistake.
people in the server, and you're damn right.
Yeah, Whammer. He
Oh,
made
guess
a
what?
mistake.
You can't read everybody's minds on what they want to hear.
They don't want to hear you.
So shut the hell up.
I know they don't want to hear you.
Please,
most of them
shut up.
turn you
Just
down.
shut
and
up
I-
and let him
I
finish.
I support Whammer and I support Spurs Kimo.
Yeah, I support them as well. I even support this guy.
The
who's
three
an asshole.
idiots. Instead of the
no.
Stooges, they're just
Well,
the three
hang on.
idiots.
Hang on, Mippet. Look, I'm
Sorry.
actually going to leave Kimo out of this one because we actually had a good start today, which is strange. But Whammer and Merle need to go and get a fucking room.
Yeah, you don't control where this conversation goes, dude.
Yeah,
but
you
we
don't.
don't
There's
have
other
to
people that
listen
want
to
to
it.
hear it.
That's
Well,
right.
Oh,
those
by the
people
way.
can go with you to a different room.
You can go to a different room if you don't like it.
Yeah, buy
Something
some.
to add.
And just
Go
shut
over
up.
Siggy and mute.
So
You could just
Mel,
leave.
do all apprentices become mechanics, mate?
What's that?
Do all apprentices become mechanics, or do they become masters?
What?
See,
I was
So-
under the impression that it was,
You're a
apprentice
retard.
mechanic.
You're a retard.
and then you can go apprentice mechanic to master mechanic. I didn't think that mechanic was.
once you
He-
once
he's-
you
he's
finish your
saying-
once
he's
you finish
saying-
your apprenticeship, you've mastered
He's
the art.
saying, and most ballers say, he's covered in tattoos and he gets angry and he's in his shed.
Why? I'm
Who are
covered
you
in
talking
tattoos.
about?
I'm
Del.
covered in tattoos and get angry.
So why is the focus on the man and not what the man is saying?
No, I'm focusing on how you fucked up.
Dude, Dell doesn't debate anybody. He just has a fucking shit fit and then fucking pisses the bed and leaves.
No, the Beyond the Imaginary Curve was one of the first platforms, open platform.
Yeah, I used to go
That
on
was
his
full of
show. I
shit,
used to go on
yeah.
his show when it first started, and they would just get pissed off and shit the bed. They would never have answer questions or debate. I used to ask him what creates the pressure gradient on the flat Earth, and he'd get so pissed.
It was still one of the first open platforms.
Why did he yell and berate you then? Why did he tell you to fuck off, Mel?
Because I asked him to come in here and talk to you fuckwits.
No, that wasn't why he told you to fuck off.
It's exactly why he told me.
No, you kept
I
going,
asked
I'm the one in
him
the
and
trenches, I'm
Gavin
fighting a war,
to come
and he
in
turned
here
around to you.
and
Yeah,
talk
he turned
to
around to
you
you and said,
fuckwits.
"What fucking war, you fucking lunatic?" That's what he said to you.
No, I asked Gav and him to come in here.
Why? That was only a conversation between you and Dell.
Right?
Yeah, and he said, "What do you mean a fucking war? What's this fucking war shit?" That's all I could remember hearing him say to you. You think you're fighting a war? You're in bunkers?
No,
He called you.
you have no idea what you're even
little
talking
child.
about right now. Do you know I was involved in Beyond the Imaginary Curve and helped him? Like, he was being sniped by people like Tim Osman, Russian Vids, IPS. There are a bunch of trolls shutting that platform down on the weekly. Censorship.
From other flat earthers. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Not from other
Yeah.
flat earthers.
Oh yeah, from other flat earthers. Yeah.
No, from globe heads.
No, from other flat earthers.
The people
No.
you just mentioned were flat earthers.
Tim Osman's not a flat earther.
Oh, but he's a fuckwit like a flat earther.
He's more intelligent than a lot of you.
Cool.
And he's good with technology.
Good for him.
You know? He's one of the main proponents of this whole conversation.
And yet he's not here.
Right. But
Right, so let's
He-
not talk about him anymore.
he
Let's
was...
discuss something that everybody would like to discuss.
Alright, go ahead,
Topic
Mippet.
anybody?
Go on, Mippet.
Yeah, how they only allow certain people to talk on Flat Earth Discord.
Go on, Mippet.
Oh, was that a question?
You want to
Well,
change
more-
the discussion?
More
Like,
of a statement
go
than a
ahead.
question, but I was wondering, you'd go in there and they test you to see if you think along their lines. It's so pathetic. Talk about cancellation.
Oh, but Mel got chucked out of 24/7, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all
Why
your
was
mates from
that?
Flat Earth.
Why was that?
I don't know, you tell me. I
Who
don't
are
go
you?
there, it's bloody toxic as fuck.
Who are you?
Who are you?
You know who I am. A lot of people know who I
What's
am.
going on? I'm
So who
hearing
are you?
screaming in the back, Merle.
Yeah, we want to know
Merle.
why you were chucked out, Mel. Come on.
Why
You
should-
want to you
Why
want to
was
know
it-
why I was chucked out? Because there was a girl who came in here called Bambi, and her and Becky were in here one day, and we had a disagreement, and she held a grudge, and she took my roles away when I was
Oh,
in
so
there.
you were sexually inappropriate with this girl, so you got banned. Okay.
I wasn't sexually inappropriate with her.
Well,
Yeah,
when you
remember
say
that time-
How'd you
inappropriate,
make?
that's
How'd
the
you
first
make that
place you
assumption?
go.
How'd
Remember
you
that
make that
time-
assumption? How'd you make that assumption, Mippet, without knowing anything about it?
Remember
Well-
that time, Merle, you were asking women how they clean their vaginas in that chat room?
No,
Does
that
someone
that
still have
didn't-
the clip of that?
That didn't happen like that.
Hang on.
Somebody,
She was-
somebody pull
she
up
was-
the clip of that.
Happened
She was
differently.
involved in some sexual escapades. Do you know that, Jake? Do you
Oh,
know
I'm
that
just
she? Do you
saying.
know that she fucked Mark Sargent
Oh no.
Who did?
and
Well,
Hori?
that's a really
Hori
nice
Sheep?
topic to spread on
Right?
the
Who,
internet.
who are we talking about that fuck Mark
Right, so
Sargent?
there was this lady on the internet that was having, open sex with people.
Yeah, and
Well, that's really
And-
disgusting
and so-
thing to say about
and-
another person.
It's not a disgusting thing. That's factual. She doesn't hide it. And I asked her how she keeps her vagina clean. I don't think that's inappropriate.
It's pretty weird.
Why the fuck would you need to know how to clean a vagina?
No, I asked her how she keeps it clean because if she's having sex with people, like you can spread STDs, right?
Were you having sex with her?
Called a condom.
Yeah, she hit me up on Facebook and, that's another thing. Yeah, a lot of strange things have happened along the way. A lot of wild claims, a lot of assumptions have been made about people.
Oh, I've had some beauties about me, so hey, go for it.
Mm. I mean, that's what I was saying before. Like, flat Earth opens up a huge can of worms, and
Because they're all
anybody
tosspots,
asking that
let's be
question.
honest.
What's that?
Well, flat earthers are all tosspots, unfortunately.
I don't know about that.
Does Dell still not believe in pole?
No, what his inquiry was is where is the pulling force? How? And he started looking into how things move.
But he claimed there's no such thing as a pulling at all.
Well, BioDuel
Well,
is going to demonstrate pull, hopefully. Going to show there's a pulling force, mass attracting mass, Mel.
Is your pull-out game strong, Kimo?
No, other than what Bio is about to perform, there is no pull in nature.
Well, so you don't have a pull-out game, Kimo. Is that what you're saying?
I don't have a what?
A pull-out game?
A pull-out game.
Really? You never heard of that before?
A pop-up book.
Oh, Jesus.
What's a pull-out game?
Google
Like
it.
a pop-up book.
Pull-out game. But anyway, yeah, so we don't have anything that pulls that we know of. Everything is applied pressure, applied forces, apply, press. Bio, this is why it's so exciting. We've never seen pull, mass attracting mass.
You have the qualifying factor is vacuum, but you've seen the cause and effect.
Yeah, we've seen.
Yeah, I watch truck pulling all the time, Kimo. That's pulling.
Truck. Said truck.
Yep.
Trucks, how do they pull? There's some kind of magic tentacles that are actually connected and pulling the truck.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
the trailer. It's pulling the trailer.
Yeah.
So it's pulling the trailer, and where's the connection? With the hook.
Between the truck and the trailer?
So the hook is connected to the trailer, and the hook is pressing on the back of the hook. There's applied pressure. Pulling.
What?
Mm-hmm.
The trailer's not pushing the truck.
You've never been anywhere near a trailer before, have you?
Yeah, I've seen fun fairs. I've seen trucks pull.
No.
How we describe it? We describe it as pull.
So, Kimo, what does a train do with all the freight in the back?
Yeah, trains are all. Looks like they pull. Like I said, it's the way we form the way we say it. But in actuality, they are pressing, aren't they?
You do know the trains actually do push too, right? They push and pull.
So when you're climbing a rope, you're not pulling yourself up the rope. You're pushing yourself up the rope.
You're applying pressure.
Squeezing the rope, pressing down, and when you pull yourself up, you're squeeze. I know I'm saying pull, but I'm just so you understand what we're talking about. When you pull yourself up, all the muscles are pressing and getting tighter and tighter. So everything is push and press.
Yeah, you're actually exactly doing that. You're pushing and pressing yourself up the rope.
So when you put the handbrake on in your car, you don't pull it on, you push it on. Okay.
Well, again, you squeeze it, yes.
Yeah.
Have to
And then
apply pressure.
You push it towards yourself.
Right.
You push what
They're the
towards
mechanics.
yourself?
They're the mechanic. When you open a door, if you look at the mechanics of your wrist and how you grip the door, you actually push the door towards yourself.
Everything contracts.
So you press
You
the
push
door open.
the door towards yourself?
If you
What
look at
the-
your wrist, go to a handle and do it. You'll figure it out. The
Yeah.
mechanics of it.
Absolutely.
What's the contracting?
Look, Pyro, the
You
only
expect
pulling,
that
the only pulling
points with
force,
perversion.
the only pulling force we have is what BioDuel will produce.
So this is how the muscle pushes.
You
when it
throw out
everyone's-
vector points and
everyone's
position
roboting.
direction.
Is it me
Well,
roboting
someone's
or
roboting really badly.
my roboting? Huh? I think we're all roboting.
That was bad.
Everyone just
Sorry.
refreshed. I
So-
just refreshed.
Could
Yeah.
somebody,
Nice one.
could someone explain to me how our muscle is exactly pushing exactly?
Well, just go to a door, Pyro. Figure
How
it
is,
out
I
for
said the
yourself.
muscles. How is the muscles pulling or pushing?
Pushing.
Explain it
Yeah, but
in
is the-
detail. How exactly the muscles are pushing?
Have you got a door?
I said the muscles. I didn't say a door.
Have you got a door though?
Yes, I have a door.
What, does it have a
Which way
handle?
do you want the door to open? Do you want the door to open towards you or away from you?
Depends which way the door goes.
I want
as
to
well.
pull away from it.
No, it depends which way you want the door to go.
Okay, well, if you want to open the door, you've got to push it open, right? You can't pull it open, right?
Well, if the
Mine's
door's
a
coming
pull open.
towards you, it's coming in your direction, which is opposite to push.
Can we start with the first bit?
This is idiotic. Why would we remove a word from the dictionary that conveys a perfectly useful meaning?
I know.
So
I know.
stupid. So stupid.
Exactly.
Does everything have an equal and opposite reaction, guys?
No, it doesn't seem like it, Rig.
You can only push things.
Mel, Kimo,
Pushity
We should try to
pullity.
does
petition-
everything
we should
have an
petition
equal
everyone to
and
stop using
opposite
the word
reaction?
pull.
Equal and opposite. Equal to every action, but again, that is still pushing though, Rick.
You're a fucking idiot, Kimo. This is so boring, man.
And
Do
directions
better.
only
Just
go.
do
and,
better, Kimo, please.
yeah,
Man.
and
How
directions
dare
only
you
go
call
one
me
way.
names for something that you
Directions-
don't understand, Rick. Now you show me
So-
pulling.
I don't
in
understand
yeah,
push
you
and
show
pull,
me
do
pull.
I?
Show me
Fuck
something that
off,
pulls
man.
in nature, Mr. Clever Clog.
A vacuum
Yeah.
cleaner. A vacuum cleaner.
Dig-
How does the
dig
vacuum
How
into-
cleaner
dare
push
you
stuff
abuse
into the
me?
vacuum?
How dare you? So you think of something that
My
pulls.
arms
Dig-
push and pull. I can push
Show
and
me
pull
pull.
with my hands, Kimo.
Show
So
me
what
pull.
about here? I've
Am
got
I-
a good one.
am I
I've got a
nature?
good one.
No, you need to show me
A
pull.
spider,
Go through it.
Kimo.
Let's-
A spider pulls the stringy shit out of its ass to make its spider's web.
I just
Or are
want to
you saying it's pushing it out of his ass? Is that what you're saying?
I just want to let you guys know Kimo's
That's a
pull-out
good one,
game is
Rick.
non-existent.
Very good one. But it's push.
So what's the difference between a pull up and a push up?
That's pretty funny. Does that mean you pull turds out of your ass, Kimo? You don't push them?
You squeeze your stomach and you press.
Yeah, you
Yeah, you
push.
pluck them out, mate. All right, we get the point.
But what's the difference between a pull up and a push up?
One you do on the ground, one you use a bar.
Oh, just show us
Okay, that's
something in
one-
nature
that's-
that pulls.
One's
That's one
horizontal,
difference.
one's horizontal
vacuum.
and one's lateral.
I was going to say the direction in which the weight is being moved.
Vertical, not lateral.
Oh,
How does a
sorry.
vacuum work, Kimo? How's it
You know what I
pushing?
meant.
How's it gonna push the dust inside the
that's all good.
vacuum?
Now, in the vacuum, the objects will pull. That's what we're looking for. This mass attracted mass will show us.
Can you
a
explain?
pulling
So, how is the vacuum pushing stuff into the vacuum?
How does what?
How does dust get inside the vacuum? Does it push it into the vacuum or does it pull it?
When I can't understand what you're asking me, Pyro.
Yeah, I think you're talking about more. We're talking about more physical, mechanical pushing and pulling, not so much air
That's
being
ex-
drawn in certain
That's it
directions.
exactly, Terry, because there are physical, mechanical processes involved here, but heliocentrism states that there's an invisible force that doesn't have any mechanics that can move
Where does
things.
it say that?
Where does it say that?
Yeah.
It says that the sun is pulling the solar system behind it.
Yeah, what is it?
The sun.
It's, so the sun's saying the sun. That's what you do.
The sun is pulling itself and the solar system invisibly.
Yeah, and
Where are the mechanics?
With
gravity.
So where are the mechanics?
Well, you can't take something like that and put it in general terms of pulling. There's a lot more involved than that, isn't it? Nowhere does it say the sun is pulling the solar system.
No, but
That's exactly what it
gravitational-
says.
The gravitational force from the sun is what's pulling, like the moon and the tides. The moon pulls the tides. That's what they tell us. And we're going to find out for sure when Bio conducts his experiment. If there is a pulling force. And we're waiting.
Well, we know for sure. What I'm doing is
How can you know for
purely
sure without an experiment?
purely entertainment. Because the vacuum is not required. We've talked about this many
Well, you
times.
don't have an experiment then. You have your best guess.
No. The vacuum's not required because you allow it to get to equilibrium before you introduce masses.
Well, like I said,
Go and watch Blue Marble Science. He's got every single detail of how it's made, what it's made of, the different steps in making it, how to calculate what the results that you get, and all the results that he's got. You can go and see everything from woe to go. So what is your problem?
Well, with Blue's experiment, the variables he hasn't accounted for. He hasn't manipulated the
What
core.
hasn't he accounted for?
So obviously he's got his experiment in atmosphere, which is the definite 100% cause. If we can reduce that, remove it.
No, well, it's in a sealed container.
Uh-huh.
A sealed box.
That makes it even
It's
worse.
in.
That's even worse. That's the pressurized box where the atmosphere is trapped inside. Lots of movement going. You've got a gradient in there. So many
The
issues to
atmosphere is
contemplate.
stable in the experiment.
Right. What deviation of air pressure are you speaking of in this sealed container, Kimo?
Wow, it's just constant flow. Constant flow. You've got the pressure. You've got the pressure off the walls of the container. But in a vacuum, there will be no pressure on the walls of the
No,
container.
there is a pressure in a vacuum.
Yeah,
In
but
the not the perfect vacuum because we can't do that, but even in vacuous pressures, it's still a pressure.
Well, the point is that in a vacuum you should exponential movement, much more. There should be
No, you
in
shouldn't.
universities that have done the Cavendish experiment in a
That's
vacuum.
just my
There are videos of it being done. Why the fuck do you make everyone do everything again just for you with the same results every time that you deny? Why would anyone bother Kimo?
But the Brian Cox feather and bowling ball drop was done in a vacuum as well. And what people started to realise was the vacuum is a container.
No, but with that they edited that for if they didn't cut it.
I know, but the deeper understanding was that the vacuum is a container as well.
So
but
repeat
there's
that
nowhere-
experiment, have you? So
Yeah,
you've
but-
repeated that experiment yourselves, have you?
No, with that, remember we're talking
No,
about...
you haven't done it yourself, Kimo?
Well, what we're talking about is gas pressure. Yeah, so obviously when they remove the pressure, there won't be air bouncing off the walls of the container, essentially. Because the pressure...
Right, so they removed the air.
Remove the gas inside, yeah.
Yeah.
So there'll be no gas pressure.
So that's why they fall at the same rate. Because there's nothing to fall through, basically.
Yeah, there's something to fall through. It's just a different medium, or less
Right.
of the medium.
Less of the medium, right?
Yeah, that's fine, Merle. It's less drag, less matter for it to go through. Yeah.
But I'm super, super, super excited, and we've spoken to some of the top globers who have looked and searched for this. It's never been found. You rock up, and you're like, "Hey, I can do this. This is done."
That's what
It's
you
a
say,
lie
Kimo.
straight away, Kimo.
Hey, sorry.
Blue Marble Science is in here all the fucking time, and he's told you all this, and he's gone over Cavendish with you, and yet today you've decided you don't know a fucking thing. You're a lying piece of crap.
Well, what it is with Blue...
Continue.
Yeah, what it is
No,
with...
it's you. No, it's you.
Well,
You
no,
choose not to listen or hear or even try. And it's really sad sometimes because you could learn a real lot off these people. Blue especially. He is amazing. He does the most amazing woodwork. He does great experiments. He calls the biggest idiots out on the internet. Maybe flat earthers, but hey, so why won't you take a person who's well respected in the community, has done every hoop that you've wanted him to jump through, and yet it's still not good enough for you? What the fuck do you want, Kimo? Exactly to every specification so that we can do exactly what you want, so that when it doesn't fucking work, we can then say to you, see, we didn't need to do this 50 fucking thousand times because it's the same every time.
It's all right.
Well, I
she's
mean,
part of the Globe community.
Holy shit!
I know. There's two different communities here.
I think.
See, and of course, my question doesn't get answered.
I'm trying to answer it. So I think the idea, Mippet, is again, this is just my opinion, based on my hypothesis, that Blue is slightly biased. Now, you might say he's not, but I think he's slightly biased, and he hasn't looked at all the variables that could have.
Biased towards what, though, Kimo? I don't understand what bias would he have.
Towards the heliocentric model. Now, Bio here, he's saying, look, I'm open to all suggestions. If you're not happy with something, let's do it to the best of our ability. He's doing that. We can't ask any more than that. But Blue, he's saying, well, no, this is how I'm doing it. This is mine. This is for me. This is, you don't like it. That's not how you would do science.
Yeah, he is replicating almost exactly the way it was done in Cavendish's time. This is the way Cavendish did it.
No doubt. But
yet that's not good enough for you?
Well, no, because like I said, there's a bias.
Why not?
Because there's a bias towards the heliocentric model, and they're looking for support and evidence in any way they can. So if they can cut corners...
Yeah, you want to look at it to say that it isn't real.
No, to me,
you don't want to find these results. You just want to say, oh, these were the results, but they're not really real because they didn't do this, that, and the other. That's what you want to do because you do it every single time.
One of the biggest
every time, and you never answer a question.
So, one of the problems that we find is that the Globers never ever listen to flat earthers. So when we ask you for curvature, you give us something else.
We answer you and you talk over the answers. That's the problem. No flat earthers seem to be able to listen to the end of someone's sentence.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
the problem here is, Kimo, every time a Glober does an experiment, you say they're biased because they're Globers. So why don't the flat earthers do it who aren't biased about the shape, about the globe? They're not biased. So when are they going to do the experiment with all your specifications to prove us wrong? No one's ever done it, have they?
Yeah, all we ask is that you do your experiments how, would satisfy us. And then obviously
the problem is every time Globers do the experiment, you say they're biased. It's not right. They've done something wrong. So why don't the flat earthers do it with your specifications and see what happens?
Well, it's gone further than that. Why don't Globe Earth and Flat Earth come together and be as objective as possible? Without
flat earthers can't be objective no matter how hard they try.
That's a claim without any backing, so it's an assumption.
Yeah, but all Kimo says is do it this way, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. Yet no flat earther has even attempted to do it, apart from Chris Berry, who totally screwed it up.
No. Why did you do it your way in the first place? What made you think that your path was to get knowledge? All you have is just a presupposition, and you think something without manipulating your variable. That's not science. What you're doing, you're doing pseudoscience. Obviously,
why don't you do the science then, Kimo, and show us how to do it?
It's not my
Put up
claim.
or
shut
I'm not
up.
claiming that
If
mass
you have a
attracts mass.
If you have a presupposition on good evidence, then it's an accurate statement.
Look, it's not my
Well,
claim.
there's no harm. There's
Oh, man.
no harm in doing it. There's no harm in doing science. Is the method to get results,
But your
and
claim is
however many times it has to be demonstrated is however many times it has to be demonstrated.
Right. I have a specific question for Kimo and Merle or one of y'all. When conducting these scientific experiments, is the only goal to confirm the hypothesis, or can you have another goal that disproves the hypothesis? Would they both be legitimate experiments to do?
Well, that would be your null. So, but what you're trying to do is find out the cause, only the cause to the effect.
Right. So what I'm specifically saying is, if what you're saying is that you're not going to perform the Cavendish because you don't think it's mass attracting mass. What I'm saying is, you performing the experiment and disproving mass attracting mass is a successful experiment. Would you agree?
No.
Right, and that's where the disconnect is, because that's progress. Whether you confirm your hypothesis or not, you gain knowledge by proving or disproving. Both scenarios are successful experiments, whether you
Definitely.
confirm or reject.
Definitely, there is an awareness starting to develop that all questions will be asked, and there's no fear of the answers. So that removes all cognitive bias.
Right. So that's where I would disagree with Kimo, in which if you're saying that mass doesn't attract mass and it could be air, and you won't perform the experiment because that's not your hypothesis, I think that you're being scientifically dishonest in that way, because you should want to do this experiment and you should want to prove that it's not mass attracting mass,
Look,
right?
Listen up. This is not. I mean, again, you wouldn't even get this far in a conversation with most flat earthers because they would say we don't see this in nature anyway. But just so we can show to you, because this is how you say science is done. Okay, fine, let's bypass the observed phenomena, but let's just go with the mass attracting mass that you say happens. Well, at the least, you've got to account for the variables, at the very least. And you haven't done that. So if you do that...
And they are.
Blue Marble Science, here's Cavendish. He explains everything, Kimo, to the last detail. And you will probably understand a third of it, but you get the gist, okay? You will understand every detail. Go check it out before you say any more stupidness.
Everything that happens
we already
on
know
the
the
Earth
cause,
is natural.
Mippet, so there's no need
Everything
to...
that happens on the Earth is natural.
Exactly.
Right. It's part of natural science.
Look, we
and
can go
if
with that
not,
for now,
it would have
but
to be supernatural.
we can go
and no
with
one's
that.
claiming anything supernatural.
Like I said, we can go with that for now.
Is electricity natural?
Yes.
No, it's not.
All you've got to
So
do...
it's supernatural, is
You've
that
got
what
to
you're
show
saying?
the observed phenomena first before we can even talk about it.
Harnessing.
What do you think, Merle, what do you think lightning is? Do you think that's man-made?
What
No,
about
but,
static electricity?
Power stations and the harnessing of electricity is harnessing a supernatural force. Yes.
No, but are you saying that electricity is supernatural, and then we give examples of lightning, which is part of Mother Nature, if you'd like, and then static electricity doesn't require humans at all either. So, is it supernatural or is it natural?
Well, then I'll come back to Kimo, but then we dig into deeper things because Flat Earth recognizes that the Earth is the mystery, what it is, how it functions, where it's located, because no pleb,
Flat Earthers worry about.
but no pleb would ever be arrogant enough to say that they know what the Earth is.
Yeah, but it's you people that are judging us, not us. You're saying this isn't natural, not
Okay,
us.
so look, let's look at this electricity thing again. So, electricity is a force, and that causes things to happen. So it might cause a fire in the forest. See? Now, what causes electricity? You can get into that if you want, but this is just a force in nature. So if gravity is a thing that causes things to happen, that's what we're looking at. So if
Here,
you wanna
but
look at
real
what-
quick, with electricity, Kimo, would you agree that electricity is supernatural, or with Merle?
it's just a natural phenomenon, right?
Well, but I'm asking because Merle made the claim that electricity is supernatural. So I'm asking you, do you agree that electricity is supernatural?
That it's just a natural phenomenon, and it's a force that would cause something, cause and effect.
I wouldn't agree with a force, but you do disagree with Merle that it's not supernatural. So with Merle specifically, I want to be very specific because I don't want to twist your words. Are you saying electricity is supernatural?
I'm saying it's a possibility, yes.
So you're saying electricity is not a force? It can't
Straighten
cause
him
things,
out,
Bio.
Kimo. Come on.
What?
It'd be like saying a car is a force because when it's at speed and hits something, it causes damage. It's like saying a car is a force. I wouldn't call lightning a force. I think it can cause damage. I think it can do things. I think it can make you move if you get struck. I think it can do all that. But I would never call lightning a force.
Not light. I was saying electricity.
Or I'm sorry, electricity. Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't call electricity a force. No.
Kimo, if lightning is a force of nature, what is nature a force of?
Well, that's like Mother Nature. So you want to know what the cause of the cause is.
And again, what is Mother Nature?
Because once we see gravity, well, you need to know the cause of gravity.
They're two words to describe a phenomenon.
Mother Nature is just the wife of Father Time. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't know what Mother Nature or Father Time is.
Did ours start at a point and spread out everywhere? Or was it painted like a flat picture?
It's the most interesting discussion. Everyone here is involved in the most interesting discussion on Earth right now.
Swirl-ons.
I would disagree, but that's your opinion. I'm not saying you're wrong. I would just disagree.
Well, it will uncover everything.
Bread and circuses could be funner.
I think all we're doing here is confirming what's known already. So like when Kimo says something about the vacuum with mass attracting mass, he's so excited. I'm not. It would just be confirming what we already know. So I'm not excited in the way that Kimo is. That's all that's being done here.
Well, I mean, I think that's where some of the flat earthers, they have to be given some credence. Because they've gone further in consciousness.
How do you measure that, Mel?
Well, if you stay in mainstream programmed thinking, you're moving inside the box. You have to step outside the box to go further and question all your assumptions and beliefs.
Outside the box, is there a graduation ceremony, or how does that work?
There should be.
Okay, so
Would it
not
be
answered question.
to think outside the box, Mel? You have to know what was in the box first.
Yeah, I agree with that, True Blue.
And understand what's in the box first. So basically, you have to understand how physics works before you can start to think outside that. The problem with a lot of flat earthers is they don't understand the physics in the box. So how are they going to think outside the box? They're just making shit up.
Yeah, I agree with that too, mate.
What do they mean here by that electric forces? The force.
I'm going to ask one question, and I'm going to do my due diligence. Did you only read the headline, or did you read the content of that article?
I'm asking it what does it mean?
Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the article. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm asking you, did you just read the headline, or did you read the article?
No, it says...
Right, so you only read the headline. That's awesome. I'm going to read the article, and I'll let you know. Give me a couple minutes.
No, I read it. I'm asking you, what does it mean? Have another
Kimo,
one.
do you think that relative density is the cause for things going up and down?
Relative density is the cause for things going up and down.
Would you, Kimo, would you say that it's a fair statement?
Hold on, we're just looking at if electric is force or not.
Wondering when have you tested that in a vacuum?
The bio, is
You
it a
have
force
no
or is it
tests
not a
on that.
force?
Damn, dude, there's like 7 paragraphs. Calm the fuck down, man. I'm not as smart as you. Let me fucking read it, right?
What does it say? Does it say? Oh,
I don't
okay.
read headlines, Kimo. I don't read headlines. Give me an article, give me a source, and I'm gonna read the fucking thing. I'm not dishonest, man. I don't just read headlines.
I didn't just read the headline. Go ahead.
I know for a fact you fucking did. Give me fucking more than 20 seconds.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, he's gone to read it.
You could have read it yourself, Kimo.
I did read it. I posted 2 that I read.
Oh, so why do you have questions then?
So tell answer the questions that he had.
Answer your own questions.
I said it is, and he said it's not. I'm just asking, what do they mean by this?
Well, you read it,
might
so
not be
you should know what they mean with it.
I might have read it wrong.
Mole Man, have you ever
What's called
asked a question?
Or what is a force?
Mole Man, have you ever asked a question knowing the answer already?
Sometimes, yeah, but if I do it, people will know it, so it's...
Mm-hmm. Is this Santos Bonacci quantum erased? Wow, going for the Santos. Interesting. I'll have to suss that out.
How Kimo wants everything done in a vacuum, and he has no experiment in a vacuum of
this
anything.
stuff about electric forces. What are they talking about? That's what did you do?
How can you ask what are they talking about if you're talking about a link that explains what they're talking about?
Well, what we're trying to figure out, cause and effect.
Okay, so in the link, what did they say is a cause?
They said types of forces.
Okay.
But what's the cause, Kimo? Not that there are different types.
Well, you got to start with what is a force. So a force is push or a pull exerted on the object, change.
Oh, that's not what a force is.
Yes. Think about.
Well, no, like in electricity, like charges,
it works
like
different for particle existence. Sorry, go on.
Oh, force
Yeah,
is
in
mass times
electricity-
acceleration.
So electric
I mean,
forces
if-
are
in
the driving
electricity-
forces for a lot of phenomenon. You know? Maybe on a smaller scale
Electricity-
or a larger. Go on.
Electricity is a force that will either repulse, like charges will repulse, unlike charges will attract.
Electricity is a force, Druss.
Yeah, of course it is.
What are you talking about, Druss? Electricity is a force.
Yeah.
No, hold
He's
on,
going on, 'cause I said
Bio. I'm sorry, I don't have to mute you. Hold
Kimo,
on.
go ahead and put words in my mouth and defame me. Go ahead.
Bio, hold on. Don't interrupt. I'm
Go ahead.
talking to Druss.
Go ahead and
Talking to
gatekeep.
Druss.
Go ahead
I'm
and
talking to
gatekeep,
Druss.
Kimo.
Hold
Go ahead
on.
and gatekeep in this one
Hold
big
on.
public
I'm not going
forum,
to get in
Kimo.
the
Hold
way.
on.
I'm not going to get in the way.
Talking to
Shut up,
Druss.
Kimo. I'm not going to get in the way of an existing conversation.
No, there
that
isn't an
guys will have
existing
after.
conversation. We are having a conversation, and you've already said, of course it is a force. Okay, so I agree. We agree. And Bio, he said it's not a force, Druss. Imagine that. Go ahead, Bio.
Kimo, do you remember when you disagreed with Merle about electricity being natural and supernatural? Do you remember the thoughts that I gave that? Do you remember?
Hey,
No.
hey.
That's how we differ.
Hey.
That's how we differ in our maturity level. That's how we differ, Kimo.
Hey.
Prime example.
Hey.
So now back on subject. I did read your article, and it is electromagnetism, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. What's the problem? That I didn't call electricity a force?
What's hilarious, Kimo? You've got to explain it.
It's the maturity level that's branching out.
Yeah, I mean,
You can't conduct
electromagnetic
yourself
force
like an
Up. I
Thank
mean,
you,
is the best
Dress.
way to describe
Right
it.
on time, Dress. Bang on tune, bang on time. Exactly. Perfect timing, Dress. Couldn't ask you for a better time to go on.
yeah, so that you
Excellent
don't have
stuff.
to answer a question.
I already knew.
Really
I said when we was talking with Merl, and I'm like, "Hey, Merl, the Force." Bio's like,
Virgil, what is the actual
Oh, here we
challenge on
go.
the
Here we
table? Because
go. Here we
Kimo is
go.
like dodging,
Damage
ducking, and
control.
diving, and just not plain speaking.
Damage
Right.
control.
Whereas Essie would say he's double speaking.
And I
No,
was
so
like,
we were talking about
I was like, Dress, what you on about, Dress? And just double down.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Kimo.
Go ahead. As a mod,
Can you answer it, please?
All right.
as a
just
mod, I would
excited.
love for you to keep interrupting me like a child.
Sorry.
Go ahead. You're lowering yourself 2 times here.
I'm
So
turning
relax,
down so I
Kimo.
can hear you because I can't hear a thing because he keeps over talking everybody.
Right. So the context was talking about natural sciences, what's supernatural. Electricity was brought up. Merle had said he considers it supernatural. Kimo said natural. We moved on, and then we. I don't remember how the question was asked or the context, but the question was asked: "Is electricity a force?" And I said I wouldn't call it a force now.
Well, it's part of the electromagnetic force.
Tell him, Dress.
Right.
Tell him.
Which I have no problem
Teach.
with.
Yeah.
Teach, Dress. Tell him. Now we can hear your knowledge and stuff. Because I did tell him, and we were just trying to explain what forces
Well, no,
are.
you have to. So electricity in itself is not a force, but the action it invokes is a force. So that's the electromagnetic forces under
Yeah.
Coulomb's law.
Sure. Double speak.
Which is why I said like charges will
triple
repulse,
down.
unlike charges will attract.
Okay.
All right.
Can I have a
Hold on.
avenue at
Hold
some
on.
stage?
So look, Bio, this is what I'm talking about, okay? If you're able to demonstrate this force, you will be as excited as I was just then. Okay? Go ahead, Mark.
Sure,
No.
I can demonstrate that force to you with a car battery, a sponge, and a bucket of water.
What, gravity?
No, electricity.
Like gravity.
The electromagnetic force.
Kimo can't even stay on track between the
Can,
immaturity, between the
can I-
childishness, and the.
Can I have the
derailing. He has no
avenue
idea what's
now
going
to?
on.
Sure, the easy way to show gravity is the label that we call the acceleration towards mass on Earth of 9.8 meters per second minus drag.
Okay.
I always
so
thought
every
that it
time
was
you drop
about trying to
something,
get
it's a
Kimo to answer a question,
Yeah.
but that's
Can-
okay.
Can I
Every
just
time you
come
drop
back
something,
to?
it's a demonstration of gravity, Kimo.
So
It's the acceleration that we describe.
So Bio, here's a book by a respected author called Graham Hancock. It's called Supernatural. Now, there's a phenomenon that happens in the jungle when people partake in ceremony and psychedelic,
Ayahuasca.
right?
Have you actually read that book?
Yeah, and what can happen is you can have electrified fields increase. So above the ceremony hut, sometimes it will generate an electrical field, and static electricity and strobe lightning can occur. It's not hallucination; it's actually physical. So basically, what you see is that human beings themselves can generate electricity.
Can you
and they can
demonstrate
turn.
that that's true in any way?
Yeah, it's
To a
it's
Kimo
been-
kind of standard.
Yeah, you can.
Go on then.
So all you'd have to do is conduct an ayahuasca ceremony.
Have you got that evidence?
Yeah, I experienced it.
No. Do you have any video evidence, any recordings, any
Oh God!
experimentation?
Can't we just talk about it? Fuck.
Yeah, I do, but I
Well,
can talk
this is
about
what
it as
happens
well.
every time we want to talk about something. You know, we get tasked for
Is
the
not
timestamp.
true, dude.
But it's fine. Like, what the more interesting thing is that human beings can generate electricity and turn the volume up on it.
No, we generate. Yes, human beings generate electricity. It's part of how our nervous system works.
And when
I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a
groups
problem
of-
with, if I can finish my point, is that I like Graham Hancock. I've met him a few times. He lives about 8 miles up the road from me, in Bath.
Mm-hmm.
And some of his stuff I like. Some of his stuff is very, very out there. When he started writing Supernatural, he was really going towards his kind of like fiction-led writing. I'm not
No,
saying that he
no.
hasn't had ayahuasca experiences, because I know that he has.
Hmm.
But the problem I have is when you're tripping your nuts off, and I've done a fair amount of that myself. Yes, you can be open to incredible thoughts and understanding. But to say that there is physical lightning popping around your body,
No, I'm not
I've
saying that.
never
I'm not
observed
saying
that,
that.
and I've done DMT.
No, I'm not saying that.
So how does this lightning, strobe lightning, express itself in reality? What would I observe if I wasn't tripping my nuts off and I was looking at you doing this?
So as you are in a group setting, human beings, the electrical field is known to increase to... It's like turning up the volume on a stereo. That's the best way to describe it. And when there's an actual physical, not hallucination, physical strobe lightning above the hut and nowhere else, where is that being generated from?
Sorry, say that again?
So where's it being generated from?
The whole of it. Sorry, I missed it. I had a call coming in.
So when you're in a ceremonial setting with a group of human beings and you go into the altered state, it's known that the electrical field increases. It's like turning up the volume on a stereo. And when you have strobe lightning...
You got any evidence of that, Mel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you show me something?
Do you know that...
Or is it just your experience, dude? Because I've had it before as well. I didn't experience anything like that.
Did you do it in a group setting?
Yeah, every time I was in a group, dude.
You don't.
How many people?
Bro. Minimum there was probably 4.
Was it LSD?
No.
Mushrooms?
DMT.
DMT? Okay, well, DMT is different to ayahuasca.
It's very similar, my friend. Very, very similar. Ayahuasca just lasts longer, man.
The active ingredient in ayahuasca is DMT. And the reason that it lasts longer is because you take it orally and you take it in a mix where basically you're putting in, it's either bacteria or...
You don't need to explain it to me.
Which goes in there, which stops the stomach acid breaking the DMT
You don't
down.
need to explain it to me.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
It's a bit more potent taking it that way as well compared to smoking it.
Well, the thing was, I was going to say,
bit more
it's the
potent.
difference between smoking some weed and eating animals.
Have either of you ever done ayahuasca?
I've done DMT. And
have you done ayahuasca?
I've done. I haven't done ayahuasca. No.
So neither of you don't know what you're talking about.
No, but I've spoken to quite a few people who have. Well,
okay.
So sorry,
okay.
mate. I do know a little bit about what I'm fucking talking about.
But you haven't
unfortunately,
experienced
I
it.
do understand exactly how it works because I don't tend to like to do drugs unless I know how it works.
Yeah, but you haven't experienced.
My point is, it's the same drug, Mel, and I haven't experienced something like that. I think I've told you about what I experienced when I've had this before.
How was the vomiting, by the way, Mel?
That I've tried it, but I think I have told you this.
No, I didn't purge. I'm more interested in the why, and it's a phenomenon that happens, and it does happen. And it has been experienced and witnessed by many people.
So what would an outside observer see that's not involved in the ceremony? If they were sitting outside that hut, what would an outside observer who's not blown out of their mind, what would they see?
Just the strobe lightning above the hut.
And do you have evidence of that?
Yeah.
Of the outside observation? So show us. You keep saying yes, but you don't show us.
I can provide that.
So, provide it.
I'll provide that when I'm good and ready. But that doesn't negate what I'm
I
saying.
had a roof over my head, Meryl. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, it was.
I didn't go outside me hut.
It's bloody funny.
It doesn't get funny because it's a serious subject.
Yeah. Okay, so when are you going to provide us that evidence? You said you can, so today, tomorrow, next week, a month.
I might not ever. I might do it tomorrow. I might do it in the next hour. It's up to me, isn't it?
Yeah, but you said you have the evidence. You've got to provide that evidence. Otherwise, it's not evidence. It means shit.
It doesn't mean shit.
To you, it doesn't. To everyone else, it does, because we're the outside observers.
Yeah, well, that's fine. It goes well beyond hallucination. Let's put it that way.